gays and lesbians and
I don't care. Go ahead.
I'm glad you guys came. Lesbian women rights in Gaza and Saudi Arabia, in Iraq, and Iran. We got to fight for lesbian and gay rights in Saudi Arabia and Gaza especially. No justice. I'm glad you guys came to fight for democratic justice, lesbian and gay rights that here in America. Thank you guys for coming, for fighting for lesbian and gay rights in the Gaza and all over the Middle East. I want to thank you guys for coming. You know what they do all over the Middle East? They kill gays, they kill lesbians. Women don't have the rights. I want to thank you guys for coming to fight for justice in Palestine and all over the Middle East, lesbian and gay rights, democracy, a real American democracy somewhere in the Middle East. Maybe Israel can do it for maybe Palestine. Israel's the only country that can help Palestine get democracy. 1948 to 1967, you know what happened. You know what happened. But no, the most important issue is lesbian and gay rights, and women rights throughout the Middle East. That is the issue. Everything else, lesbian and gay rights throughout the Middle East, all those countries, no women, lesbian and gay rights. I represent gay rights. I'm not
what did I say? It's crazy stuff.
That's crazy stuff. Is there people? Do you see people's faces right here?
Yeah.
I know, I don't think it's going to be either.
How much stuff do you
Dude, it sounds so Dude, did I come to the right room? Like, what do I do now? Oh, you stay here?
Senator Romero.
I call this meeting to order at 7:18 p.m. Senator Dwelley, I believe
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The person next to you is not here, please don't put their finger. Okay, we may vote now. Check in now. Okay, thank you. Moving on to approval of the minutes. Moving on to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
Second. Objection?
I would like to add manga and all the other sections. Second.
One B.
2 R's?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do I have approval of the agenda? Moving on to call the audience, Taylor and Brandon Long. Or,
Yeah, personally, Brandon Long can be here. My name is Emily McHale. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm running for president of the Undergraduate Student Government. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know it's going to be a really short meeting, but I just wanted to let you know that I'd be happy to discuss any issues, and as well as my platform, which can be found at www.votemchale2014.com. Anytime after this meeting, and I also have business cards if you'd like to learn more. So I just want to thank you for coming.
moving on, David and Lily.
I think it's Jared. It should be Jared. Jared Herschel.
Oh, Jared?
I mean, I wish
I
I.
apologize.
It's a nice name. Hey everybody, my name is Jared. I am a junior here at ASU in the WP. Good evening, senators. I'd first like to thank you for your time regarding this matter. I can only imagine the stress that such a highly topic can bring to you. To start off, it must be stated that this is not a discussion of peace in the Middle East, but a discussion of whether Arizona State supports Israel. There are many pro-Israel supporters here who believe that the Palestinians have the right to their own land, just as there are many pro-Palestinian supporters who believe that the Palestinian Authority should take responsibility for their own people, not Israel. And many of us believe in a two-state solution. What President Abbas and the Palestinian Authority, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and Secretary of State John Kerry are doing right now are the appropriate steps to realizing this two-state solution. These peace talks are leading to a day when Israel won't have to bulldoze illegal houses, many of which contain weapons and terrorists. A day when Israel will no longer need a military presence for the sake of their security and stability in the West Bank, and a day when Palestinian and Israeli children can play in the streets together. All this bill does is delegitimize Israel, while also showing the Palestinians as the sole victims. It shows Israel to be the oppressor, yet it says nothing about the countless victims of Palestinian terrorism. It says nothing of the countless rockets shot into Israel every day. And it says nothing about the children who are raised with these rockets raining down on them. These are also victims that must be recognized as such. We should show this bill as it really is: an anti-Semitic work filled with lies and propaganda aimed at ultimately destroying the only democracy in the Middle East, but more importantly, the only Jewish state in the world. And UCLA 2 weeks ago, it took their Senate 12 hours to decide that this bill was wrong. Just imagine how much better we could do with our time, voting and debating topics that actually matter to the students here, instead of trying to solve a conflict that has been raging for years. Thank you all for your time and your support.
And I'm here speaking on behalf of Israel and young. As a woman, a Latina, a first-generation immigrant, as a Christian, and as a member of Christians United for Israel, I stand for Israel. I'm against this bill because this bill is mischaracterizing Israel. This bill is trying to make a statement that Israelis are oppressing the Palestinian people, which is completely false and incorrect. This bill is not promoting peace, and it's not a fair negotiation for either country. Israel is a leader in human rights, and we need to acknowledge that. Israel is not a democracy in the Middle East. And it is only a safe place for Christians, like many of us in here. Israel is only a safe place for women like myself. Israel is only a safe place for refugees like my best friend in Mountain. Israel is only a safe place for minorities, where people can cross borders in search of a better future. In Israel, Arabs, Jews, Druze, Christians, all serve the Israel parliament. Is that an apartheid state? No, that is not. They have democracy. Also in Israel, women are not treated like objects. They have rights, they have freedoms. In other countries, women do not have those rights. Additionally, Israel is so diverse that even recently an Arabian woman won Miss Israel. That is not an apartheid. Arabs in Israel have more freedom than in other Middle Eastern countries. In Israel, It's only because we're Christians. Many Christians are persecuted and killed, and we're here standing for brothers and sisters who are Christians who are being persecuted and killed. This BDS is a form of racism, a form of hatred against the state of Israel and the Jewish people. To boycott Israel is to boycott those who find home and shelter in that country. To boycott Israel is to devise a hurtful for academic freedom and for students in general. I urge you, senators, please vote against this bill.
Hi everybody, my name is Amanda Vera. I'm a junior engineering student here at ASU. First, I just want to say what we're here to discuss is the bill, and I would hope that previous speakers, people here, would actually read the bill. So I've heard that, just actually the last speaker said that this bill is boycotting Israel, or this bill is doing something about Israel. We're not the United States Congress, we're not trying to get us to sanction Israel here. What we're doing, specifically in the bill, is asking for divestment from one corporation, Caterpillar, which is actually involved and has been called by many organizations, the UN, International Criminal Court of Justice, Criminal Court, and International Court of Justice, actually illegal activities. So when I hear these things about supporting a two-state solution or Israel, the bill has nothing to do with that. So I urge everybody, please, just to read the bill and read that it's specifically written in the language of human rights, and that's what we're here to do. Student governments have a history of supporting human rights and actually having a big impact on human rights movements. For example, in 1985, South African apartheid, Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu, where people have said that student governments were critical in ensuring that people actually saw what was going on, the wrongs that were going on in South Africa at the time. So what we're saying to do is just boycott one specific company, Caterpillar, that has involved in illegal activities right now. So I would just ask you to read the bill. Look at where's the anti-Semitic language. And if anybody could please point that out, that would be the first thing we want to change. So I hope that you can look forward to this as just something that will be focused specifically on the bill. Speaking of other schools supporting these kind of bills, Loyola University in Chicago today just passed a similar bill, 2002. So this is something that's sweeping the nation up, a very important issue that we should all be definitely invested in, but I would urge you also to give it time to actually think and talk about. Today is actually only the first read of the bill, and this bill will actually go into second read in 2 weeks. So today really isn't the day to have this large debate when the bill isn't going to be on the floor. So like I said, please read the bill and look at what it actually says, not actually states what you said. I'm not going to question what most people have said, but specifically if read the bill doesn't actually have anything that needs to go in. So that's what I would urge is most important. So to senators,
thank you all for coming. I'm sorry that you don't all have seats. Is that the MU staff telling us to? Right? No? Okay, so I thought it was MU staff telling us to. So we will be moving rooms so that hopefully we can accommodate everyone. But I just wanted to let everyone know that I am taking out of order very seriously during this meeting. So if you want to be recognized, just to lift your placards. Those of you who have speaking rights are those with placards. I'm just making that very clear right now. So during any kind of debate during the bill or anything like that, you can only speak if you have a placard. So, Senator, can you hold up your placards? That's how I want you to hold it up so I can see clearly who wants to speak and who wants to be on the speaker list. Thank you. USG President Davis.
Everybody, it's good to see you. I hope you had a safe and relaxing spring break. I'm really excited to be back. We have about 7.5 weeks left to go, so we can kill it, I think. Some things that are happening at USG right now, we're working on finalizing the budget for next year. So if any of you guys have any suggestions or things that you'd like to see in the budget or things that you'd like to see cut in the budget, please come to me ASAP because we're going to be approving the budgets very soon. Also, what we're working on right now is we're working on tuition prices for next year. The tuition hearing for April will be next week. It's Tuesday from 5 to 7 in the AMU, and I can't remember exactly which room it is, but it's in the second floor here somewhere. So if any of you guys are interested in coming to the Arizona Board of Regents tuition hearing meeting from 5 to 7, I encourage you to show up. the Council of Presidents, as well as the Undergraduate Student Government across all 4 campuses, and the Graduate Professional Students Association are all recommending that ABOR approves the plan set by ASU, which says 0% tuition for in-state students, 0% tuition increase for in-state students, and a 3% tuition increase for out-of-state students. So we're keeping education costs pretty low here in Arizona, which is great. And then also we have an event coming up next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Or 6 p.m. So essentially right in the middle of the tuition hearing. So I mean, you go to tuition hearing for an hour and then come to that for an hour. But the event is Stephen A. Smith. It's at 6 p.m. and he's an anchor at ESPN. And so Stephen A. Smith will be here, and I encourage you guys all to come because he's great. And he will be 6 p.m. at the Centennial Fitness Complex. And that's what we've got right now. So good to see you guys.
Dr. Ashlock?
No report.
I'm going to suspend the rules and let parliamentarian LaPointe say a few things that I didn't let her say during the report.
All right, really quick, senators, so I've been looking at the voting record, and there are a few, actually, it's getting more and more. Senators are consistently abstaining on votes. Just really quick clarification on what an abstention is. It's if you have a personal, you have something that's actually keeping you from voting along with your constituents, or you have something that's keeping you from voting correctly. It doesn't mean that, I don't really go one way or the other. You are paid to have an opinion because you are the voice of your students that you represent. So you need to have an opinion on all of these things. You can't just think, I don't really want to have my name to this vote, or I don't really want, I don't really have an opinion. You need to have an opinion. You can't just consistently abstain. So keep that in mind whenever you're voting today and in the future.
Okay, moving on to our programming and activities board.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Zach Dunham. I'm the president of the Programming and Activities Board. I just want to give you all a couple of updates on the events that we have coming up. March 27th, so next week, we have an Xbox store. So Xbox is going to come out, bring their trucks, and provide the students with an experience where you can come and play their new games, their new consoles, and things like that. That's on CP Beach from 6 to 8 p.m., like I said, on March 27th. And then on that Saturday, we have the United Way kickoff concert featuring Carmen. That's at the SDSC Field. The doors open at 6, and the concert starts at 7. So I highly encourage you all to come out to that. It's going to be great. And finally, on April 11th at 8 a.m., we have an MUAD, and that is how you know you're a 90 kid win. So we have a bunch of contests, games, prizes. I have to be back with the 90s. With them as soon as you did, you will be able to come out with prizes from your childhood. So that's Sparkman's Day, April 11th at 8 p.m. So thank you.
Anyone who's on the organizational list that's here,
I'm Maria, the president of the LGBTQIA Coalition. I just want to let everyone know that on first week of April and also April 11th, there will be First Virtual Pride Week, and then we're going to have a National Day of Silence. So on April 11th, I realize that you all have classes, but if we could wear black or red and not speak outside of classes, that'd be terrific. We're trying to raise awareness for the fact that people are silenced every day, and so we raise awareness for that. But as I'm not speaking, that's not.
Any other organizations that are on this list? Okay, moving on to committee reports, appropriations, and interview.
The Appropriations Committee will soon be starting a packet that will explain the appropriations process to the incoming Appropriations Committee for the 12th Legislature, and that is all the appropriations reports that we have.
Thank you. Finance, Senator Sutina.
As last week was spring break, we did not have a meeting. The next meeting will be this upcoming Tuesday. Similarly, we will also be working on a package to help the transition to the next finance.
University Affairs, Senator Carr.
We got in contact with a contractor for water bottle refill station, so we're looking into finalizing that and getting a budget up, and we'll have that hopefully for the next meeting or that. But that's
Operations Senator Freeman.
No report.
Moving on to first read legislation, SB 67.
I'm bringing up SB 67 because as a new American university, and in light of the passage of SB 53 in the Ninth Legislature, the legislation enacted that specifically gave the tacit support of USG for quote-unquote on-campus divestment from and blacklisting of corporations that are complicit in human rights abuses in the occupied Palestinian territories. ASU and USG have an obligation to prevent socially irresponsible investment in companies such as Caterpillar that aid and abet documented human rights abuses. In a globalized world, American universities cannot look past and forget issues that affect the international community. In the 1980s, divestment from South African organizations by American educational institutions were an essential factor in ending apartheid in that country. In 1985, ABOR, Arizona Board of Regents, divested $3.4 million in holdings from ASU and U of A from companies profiting from human rights abuses due to community pressure. It is inaccurate to say that ASU does not have a role to play in investing money responsibly because of its historical record in doing so. The fact that the acts committed by Israel, aided and abated by Caterpillar through their sale of bulldozing and engineering materials to it, are highly illegal is recognized by the clear majority of the global community, evidenced by the 2004 International Court of Justice ruling, numerous UN resolutions, and the Fourth Geneva Convention, ruling that the expansion of settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem is illegal under international law. Even the U.S. State Department has created a long-standing opposition to Israeli settlement activity. All of this is explicitly and clearly sourced in the bill. For these reasons, Caterpillar, which has reiterated its choice to disregard calls to take action to stop the use of their products in highly illegal and immoral acts, has been blacklisted by organizations such as the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, the Morgan Stanley Capital Index, and the Presbyterian Church of the United States. To say this bill is a divestment from the state of Israel is incorrect. In bringing up this bill, I emphasize that I fully recognize the right of the state of Israel to exist. In the same way, the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination also exists. To describe this bill as anti-Israel limits the definition of Israel to a state defined by the human rights abuses aided and abated by Caterpillar, dismissing other contributions Israel has made to the global community. I reiterate that the ASU community has an obligation to take action against the use of its funds for well-documented and undeniable human rights abuses. Regardless of your opinions on the means of a solution to the ongoing situation in West Bank and East Jerusalem, it's important that this bill advances to first read so the ASU community can have a sincere dialogue. I'm just presenting the bill today. I'm not bringing up any motion to vote.
I move to this bill to committee.
Second. Objection.
Okay, if there's an objection on the floor to move this bill to committee, we will vote to move the bill to committee. Voting A will move this bill to committee. Voting B will not move this bill to committee. We will wait for another motion.
Wait, point of information. If the bill went to committee, would it still be presented for first read on the April 1st meeting?
Correct.
Okay, I withdraw my objection.
So the objection has been withdrawn, so we don't have to vote. Senator Carter, do you hold your motion? You retract your motion.
I motion to table the bill indefinitely.
Second.
Objection.
There's an objection to tabling the bill indefinitely, so we will vote to table the bill. Voting A will table the bill, voting B will not table the bill, and we will wait for another motion. So voting A will table the bill, voting B will not table the bill. So please pull out your clickers. Senators. Voting may begin now.
Take one more vote.
Did you have? So.
bill has been tabled indefinitely. Moving on to second read legislation, seeing as there is none. Moving on to open forum. Senator Moorhead.
We're having an event on Thursday to discuss why I brought up the bill, motivation for bringing it up. Thursday, 7:30. 7:30 in the MU. 2:30. MU Pageant, 2:30. Everyone's invited, no matter what your opinion is on the legislation. Come to the event. Thank you.
I would like a motion to have University Fair chair step down from this position.
Second.
So there's a motion on the floor to remove Senator Carr as the head of the University Affairs Committee.
Objection.
Seeing an objection, we will vote. Point of information. No, it isn't called for him to step down as chair. So seeing as there is an objection, we will vote. Point of information, Senator Trevino. Please bring down the chatter.
Senate
Thank you.
President is the one who decides that, and then it has to be approved by the Senate. So she has to determine, she has to say Nicholas Parra should no longer be the chair of the University Affairs Committee.
Point of clarification, because it is voted on by the Senate and the Senator.
Point of clarification, how many senators votes to this? That's why.
Okay.
I don't feel that Senator Parra has fulfilled his duties as committee chair.
More specific.
Any questions for Senator Smith? Oh, there's a motion on the table, so that was a point of clarification. So is this okay? So there's a motion on the table, and if there is an objection to yes, but there is a motion. You can motion anytime. Yes, Senator Smith. Since there is a motion on the table and there is an objection, we will vote. Voting A will vote on Senator the removal of the University Affairs Committee chair. Voting B will continue discussion. Okay? Sorry, I've never done it.
Wait, A will vote?
A will vote to vote.
What's the point? So why don't you just
Point of clarification.
why don't you just move into discussion, and then when somebody's ready to call the vote, they call the vote.
Because it's a parliamentary procedure. If there's an objection on the
You don't have to vote to vote.
that's parliamentary procedure. You can suspend the rule.
I've been advising student governments for 22 years. I've never seen such a thing.
How we've been working it. And that's how I've seen it, and that's how I've had it read. It's parliamentary procedure.
It's crazy.
Thank
Do we
you,
want?
If anyone wishes to suspend the rule, we don't have to vote. Senator Wild, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Second to suspend the rules. There's an objection to suspend the rules. Okay. Senator, Dr. Ashlock?
Yeah.
Since there is an objection to suspend the rules to vote, we have to vote to.
Yes.
So we're going to vote to suspend the rules. Voting A will suspend the rules, voting B will not suspend the rules. Voting C is not allowed. Voting may begin now. Take 3 more. A suspend the rules, B continue. Okay. B goes back to the motion that was on the floor. We have suspended the rules, so we can go into discussion. We'll start the speakers list.
I can't say anything yet.
First on the list.
We'll talk about it.
I was concerned about the current structure in university affairs. I've been concerned for a while, and I and concerned about the leadership. I think that the time when I realized that there needs to be a time for change was after, I believe it was the last meeting. It was when a bill was brought to the floor that stated that myself, Senator Moorhead, Senator Martin, Senator Singh, Senator Van de Nieuwenhof, and Senator Parra were all sponsors of this bill, but we had not seen it. We had not seen the text. We knew that Senator Parra had the idea of putting the bill forward, but there was no time frame specified. The bill was not given to any of us to review. There was never any work done on it in committee. In addition, because there was no work done on it in committee, because there was no constructive feedback, which is necessary with any sort of structure like this, we were not able to catch serious errors concerning the language of the bill. This was a bill that was, it was a reaffirmation of USG's acceptance of everyone and inclusivity regardless of various things. I apologize, I would list them, but I do not know the full correct list to say, so I'm not going to say them. But the fact was that it listed gender, race, sexuality, religion, creed, I believe ethnicity. And while that is inclusive to a degree, it is not inclusive enough for it to be a legitimate bill regarding inclusivity and showing diversity. It was embarrassing for university affairs. It was embarrassing because it made us look like we were insensitive, particularly from the perspective of cultural organizations. As someone who used to be a director of a cultural organization, I was embarrassed. As a member of USG, I was embarrassed at how people were perceiving this, that we were putting forward bills that we had not looked at. And so this is why I'm skeptical and why, after numerous times, this is what's led me to believe that a change in leadership is necessary, and it's something that we should consider doing at this point in time. Thank you. I yield my time.
Senator Gibbs.
I think this is dirty politics. I think that this should have been addressed far before the city was concerned about the leadership in the University Affairs Committee. I also think that trying to put the blame for that specific mistake onto one person is disgusting. I think that you need to take responsibility for your rights yourself as a committee and just take responsibility for your actions. You guys sat in that committee meeting. You guys voted on the bill. Just because you're embarrassed after the fact that the bill came out does not mean that you can put the weight of those problems onto the chair. I also think that it's, in past meetings, certain senators on the University Affairs Committee have called people out for not discussing something with the person that they have a problem with prior to the Senate meeting. And I think that this is just dirty.
Senator Zhao.
So as a business school senator, I did see Senator Parra did maybe make a mistake or maybe make everyone uncomfortable about the bill last Senate meeting. But as a business senator, he did help a lot of business school organizations to get the operation funding, and he also go to the business council to hear the business school students' voice concern. So I think we need to think about not only focus on his maybe misbehavior or mistakes, but also we need to see what he contributed to the USG, to the students.
Clarification. This is not about what he has done. It's about what he's done for our committee and the way and direction of our committee, and not what all the other stuff.
Clarification, he can speak on him as a person.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Cool.
Continue.
And also, I'm so confused. Just now, the sentence thing. She might want to say more about her reason to remove Senator Parra's seat. So I'm going to yield my time to Senator Singh to provide more information about this motion.
Thank you. Hold on. You have to move. Kyle said something.
Yeah, so what do you guys have been talking to? You guys have more room. We have extra seats stacked in the back, so we can put it in the back of the main hallway to the left.
Please don't move. Please don't move. I'm gonna
Well, I'll be up here then on Thursday.
I'm gonna do a 5-minute recess and we'll meet in Ventana C at 7:55 p.m.
So we're done. So what is it? Things are trying to do a note.
Hey, how are
Please go to move the room. 242. So you go straight and turn left. Excuse me, as one, please go to
Jumping out at me.